leading the charge to make the 2024 Broker Carrier Summit possible, and we are so excited to have their support. In case you haven't heard, TAFS offers much more than freight factoring. It provides a comprehensive support system for trucking companies of all sizes, specializing in fast and efficient invoice factoring with the ability to pay carriers in as little as 1 hour. And TAFS services go well beyond factoring, offering a fuel card that unlocks major fuel discounts, flexible business loans that are designed to cater to the distinct needs of a carrier's operations, a dedicated, responsive client experience team, and much more. Blackbox Logistics is a 3PL freight brokerage based out of Birmingham, Alabama. Blackbox Logistics was formed in 2020 by 3 friends, Logan Dyer, William Graves, and Will Hopkins, in a basement office with the goal of bringing transparency around the clock communication and hassle-free customer experience to the table. WireB is an AI-powered call automation platform built for freight brokers, designed to screen every inbound call in real time, block spoofing, phishing, and double brokering scams, verify compliance through integrations with FMCSA, Highway, and My Carrier Portal, and automatically connect brokers with qualified, vetted carriers, all before a human ever picks up the phone. Sales-CRM is built for freight broker and agent sales teams. Manage your shipper prospecting and follow-ups. Organize your carriers in the lanes they run. HD Ships is a leading logistics provider specializing in sustainable and tech-driven freight solutions. With hubs in Reno, Phoenix, and London, we deliver comprehensive services, including full truckload, expedited cross-border, and intermodal freight. Leveraging proprietary technology, we offer 24/7 tracking, real-time visibility, and advanced automation to ensure safe, compliant, and efficient transportation. Our commitment to sustainability enables clients to offset emissions through carbon credits, aligning logistics with environmental goals. At HD Ships, we prioritize transparency, reliability, and exceptional customer service, empowering clients to achieve seamless, sustainable logistics solutions worldwide.
Happy Tuesday. It's been a minute since a Tuesday show.
Yeah, well, it's been a minute since a show at all. It's good to be back after the week off.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, man. We didn't do a show last week. We got 2 this week though. We'll be live on Tuesday and Thursday. So
yeah, well, hell, man, you got to catch everybody up on your plans. Decided to move to Chattanooga, right?
Yeah, kind of saw a couple posts, and it's the nice part about being single, no kids. A worst case scenario, I don't like it. I won't spend much time in Chattanooga, just enough to have residency. But optimistic I'll be closer to you. You'll have to come up to Chattanooga and visit.
Yeah, man, it's one of my favorite things about you. You texted me randomly last night. So anybody listening, this is Monday night. Matt texted me, I might move to Chattanooga Friday. I'm like, hey, do you have a place to live? Like, what's the plan? He said, I looked at a couple of apartments online, and then not even 24 hours later, he's decided to move to Chattanooga. It is doing it. So yeah, more power to you.
I had looked at it for when I saw Cam's post at 3PL Systems a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of one of the thought. I've seen all these people moving there, and I'm like, I'm not in Minnesota. I had to go back for my sister's wedding in the early winter, but I haven't been there since. So it's like, what am I really doing? I'm paying taxes there. I'm never there,
Yeah. Well, I'm still going to be making the Minnesota jokes to you, even if you do move to Tennessee. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about our sponsors for a quick second.
Yeah, let's do it.
Shout out to them for keeping the show going. We appreciate their support. First, we got Wirebee. It's AI phone screening. So if you are dealing with fraud, we're all dealing with fraud. It's obviously best to have something in place, take away that manual vetting, right? Wirebee can detect if it is a fraudster, a scammer calling you guys and just block the call. So not only is it saving you if a load gets stolen or double brokered, which is costing actual money, it can save you a lot of time, manpower, by taking that out of your operation team's hands and handling it for them.
And then HD Ships, where I recruit agents for, Black Box Will's company, Sales Dash CRM, the OG sponsor. Speaking of Tennessee, that's where Josh is based. Yeah. Josh and Drew, we've got to golf with them both. Sponsors before the show even started. Great specific CRM. Will's company uses it. We have some agents that use it. And yeah, brought to you by Taft's, our banner sponsor, top 10 factoring company, Kansas City based. Rob and Ryan are fantastic. Definitely reach out to them for factoring needs. Definitely a key component, with the financial stability of a lot of trucking companies right now.
Yeah, a couple of things before we bring the guest on stage today. One, Josh was just here at Black Box. He walked out right before we went live, but I was going to have him pop out for a quick intro. Hello, when we talked about sales dashes in town for TIA. So just to show you guys, if you're out there listening, what sales dash is all about. Josh is over here for TIA. Comes up to the Black Box office and he's talking to my reps and people he's never met before, and he's giving them his direct line, saying, hey, if you ever have any issues with sales dash, and you can reach me. So I mean, that just goes to show the support that they offer. A lot of tech software providers will sell you on something, then they just kind of disappear. Josh's team has been great about kind of catering to what we need, even though it does come pre-built out. And then two, this is the third week in a row, Matt. When you bring up Black Box as a sponsor, you failed to mention that we were recently voted as the People's Choice 3PL.
I still want to know where that vote came from, but who participated in that vote.
Anyway, so those are our sponsors. Shout out to them for making the show possible. Also, shout out to Big Dog, our duck that we were recently gifted by Serena. So I'm pumped about the show this week. It's got two logistics legends on. We got Bill Paul, the founder of Logitalent, and we've got Ryan Paul, the president of Logitalent. They've been on the show before, and we're pumped to have them back on this week.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been over a year since we had them on there. Were they the first episode? I think.
No, one of the first. Very first was Matthew Leffler, the armchair attorney. It was during all the non-compete madness, and then Bill and Ryan came on maybe a couple episodes later. It's been a while. It's good to have them back on.
Yeah, it'll be good. We broke. It was Ryan's first podcast when he came on. I don't think he's done another one. I'll have to ask him if he's done another one since, but I think we're his second one. So
awesome. Yeah, hopefully stays exclusive with the Dawgs. We'll go ahead and bring them on stage. Got Ryan and Bill. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys.
What's up, fellas? And of course, I got to stay exclusive to my homies. Yeah. If not, they've got to pay me to come on.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
It's a pleasure, and thanks for inviting us back. So a few things. Number one, congratulations to Matt on his move to Chattanooga. Hope that goes well for you, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy the heck out of that. And just to comment, and I'm not pitching anything, but I looked at those sponsors and the products they have, and really impressive products. So I get nothing out of this, but looks like those sponsors have got some really wonderful services that Very, very impressive. So yeah, and good to be back. Good to be back. I just need to clarify: are you the two dogs? Are we the two dogs? Who's the dogs here?
Who are the dogs? 4 dogs.
Yeah. Well, so the show is Matt and I are the two dogs, one pod. But today you could say we've got the kennel. We've got 4 dogs, one pod.
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Yes.
That's DOGS, DAWGS, dogs to mean a corporate weapon as opposed to dog, 4-legged pet.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Like my dog that's running around somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where are you these days? You in Miami today, Ryan, or
I'm
Chicago?
in Chicago. I was in Chicago, London and Greece last week. Will and I were just catching up about our Europe travels, adjusting back to the time schedule, hitting the caffeine hard. BP gave up golfing today to hop on the podcast.
That's a tough one. We appreciate that. I know I enjoy reading your golf
That's what I
posts.
want to do right now.
Well, kind of fill us in. I know we had you guys on before, so I think if you guys want to give a brief background, but what's kind of new in the recruiting world? On the forwarding, the brokerage side. I guess maybe just we'll kind of dive deep right away. I mean, what are you guys kind of seeing out there? What's kind of new in your guys' world?
I'll kick it off and get to turn over to BP. But what's new for me in the last 2.5 years? Let's look at the downturn that started in September 2022 and the doom and gloom and bottom of the market. What is new is opportunities as of March of this year outside of bring me sellers with a book of business are coming back. We are seeing everything from C-level executives, VPs, directors, account managers, carrier reps, ops reps. That's exciting. That's probably 40% of the roles we have on the brokerage side, which is huge. If you look at 23 and 24, 90% were sellers with a book. So that shows me that there's clients out there that are growing. There's clients that are leveling up on their talent, whether they're growing as a whole or they're backfilling roles that were eliminated, in 23 and 24. But 25 has proven to be healthier. I would not say we're in a thriving freight market, but people have figured it out, right? You can't cry every day and say it's a down freight market. I know people that are having the best years of their lives, sales reps, because they figured it out. These are the same people that will have, when the market rips again, they'll have the best year again, right? They get on, they get with it. But the clients, anyone from $20 million shops to $500 million, they're excited and they're growing again. They're adding great talent, and there seems to be general, at least some more added excitement to the industry, right? It's not everyone like, oh man, the freight market. I mean, we can talk about the political landscape, but that's probably for another podcast. But overall, the sentiment is good, and there's excitement back in the industry. And I see that with our team, with our recruiters. We have more work than we know what to do with right now. So if 3 or 4 recruiters are listening to this and you want a job, want to make $250,000 or more, come talk to us. But, Matt, you've seen it. People are looking for jobs, and Will's seen it. Will's hiring. That's exciting again.
Yeah. So for anybody listening, just so what Ryan's describing, right? So previously they were seeing a lot of people that want sellers. They want hunters because they don't necessarily have a bunch of freight, right? They want more freight. Everybody wants more freight. But now what you're seeing is operation roles, which would be indicative of them having the freight and people to work it, right? So that makes you feel or think or seem like the market is in a healthier spot. And then, of course, you mentioned that you have more work than you know what to do with right now.
Yeah, so we can't complain. And Bill can talk to the forwarding side, a little bit different than the truck brokerage side, a little bit more impacts we've seen on the political front, but Bill can talk to that.
Yeah. And I don't want to get political, but obviously, what's been going on with the tariffs has had a massive impact on the industry. And we started to see the results coming in for the major forwarders, and they're pretty decent. I think that might surprise a lot of people, but they've been pretty decent. But when you kind of peel the onion back a little bit, what you see is, the revenues are down, the profits are up, but you look at one of the major players that out there, both in the global forwarding and on the domestic side, the number of employees between Q3 2024 and Q2 2025 is down by 17.4%. That's quite alarming. So we're seeing that, but we're also seeing some companies that have decided to play offense. And we work with a lot of great companies. We work with everybody from the now largest freight forwarder on the planet, They've been a client company of ours for many, many years, and we helped them build out the sales engine before they made the latest acquisition, and we continue to help them, with that. So they've been very aggressive on hiring. Some of our other client companies have stayed very aggressive on hiring salespeople, literally all over the country. And we started to see a little bit more demand for, sales managers, maybe some operations roles, different roles. But, I would agree with Ryan that we're in a position right now where we could look at the entire team, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I think the entire team these days is about 18 of us, right?
Yeah, 19 if we had a source, or yeah.
Okay, so but literally every one of the recruiters has multiple jobs to work on. So sometimes less is more. When a recruiter has multiple jobs to work on, it's hard to stay focused. When they have fewer jobs to work on, they can be more focused, and we can be putting in 2 or 3 candidates for the vacancy instead of 1 candidate for each different vacancy. So the tariffs will continue to have an impact, simply because there's no consistency. So obviously it was like a trade war with China, 145% duty rates. Then it dropped 50%, and then then there was a new thing in play until July the 9th, and then July the 9th comes, and that gets extended to August 1st. I'm sure a lot of major importers would have loved to have known that was going to get extended from July the 9th to August 1st, way ahead of time, but they weren't. And now that's going to stay in play from August 1st for the next 3 months, particularly with China. Things have become a little bit more established with other countries, but the impact that's having is we may have seen peak season come and go on the global forwarding side. Forwarders definitely made money when companies were front loading. In other words, they were buying forward and keeping a very high inventory to avoid the tariffs. And then of course there was significant demand for services, so ocean freight rates went up. And when ocean freight rates went up, freight forwarders made more money. So I'm not sure what Q3 is going to look like for a lot of the major players. It could be quite challenging for them, unless this whole China trade war thing gets some kind of resolution. But it's really clouded the landscape. The other thing I would add is that many years ago, Malcolm Forbes once said that ability would never exceed the demand for it. Great statement, and a statement that I've lived with for many years. Until this year, I've never seen so many talented people out of work and looking for jobs that just simply aren't there. So, operations leadership, leadership in maybe in carrier purchasing and that kind of stuff, just not seeing those roles anymore. And so there is a lot of really good talent that is unfortunately unemployed right now. So it could be very challenging Q3 and Q4. We'll see.
So, and I'll add to what Bill said. When you look at the operational side or carrier focused leadership, from middle management up to senior sales managers, almost up to the director level, there's been a lot of thinning of those roles. There's a lot of really qualified people that the only opportunities that they're even getting right now, and respectfully, it doesn't make sense for a lot of them if they don't have to jump into these, or 3, 4, 5 years back from what they're used to doing. Seen a lot of thinning out of that side. You guys have probably seen it as well, running companies, but I think everyone's trying to remain as lean as they can on the operational side. But then you get into the never-ending seesaw balance of, can my staff support the amount of freight we have, right? And you've got this never-ending, and you don't want to run so lean that the support is taken away, because you bring clients in the door and you're losing clients faster than you can keep them. That's a problem.
Yeah, the balancing act. Bill, that was a powerful statement. You said that quote that you mentioned, it's the first time in your career that you've seen it come to fruition. For those of our audience who's tuning in who may not be super familiar with your background, how long have you been doing this?
This is my 55th year in international freight forwarding, global freight forwarding, and recruiting. So got into the business back in England in 1970, transferred over here in 1980. to open up the North American operations for what was then the largest freight forwarder in the UK. That was an incredible honor for a 25-year-old. And left them after 5 years, went to a little company called Phoenix International, helped build them. And that company was eventually sold to C.H. Robinson for $635 million. But I had left slightly before that and started my first recruiting firm, which was Freight Match Services. Sold that in 2011, kind of got back into the business, the freight forwarding business, with some good friends at Rim Logistics for a couple, 3 years, three and a bit years, and then decided to go back into recruiting. And to be truthful, we're coming up on our 10th year at Logitalent this year in October. Logitalent was designed to be my exit ramp. I thought it was something I could do for a few years, maybe me and one or two other people. Ryan was always interested. I have another son, Ryan's brother, who had some interest. And then the thing exploded. The thing absolutely exploded. Largely, we saw that through Ryan getting us into the brokerage space, and that's been phenomenal. And then most recently, we decided to go into the life sciences space. So we have a separate division now that focuses on individuals for the life sciences. We weren't necessarily looking for it, but this amazing candidate, Althea Roberts Fenton, who had 20 years in that space with the major players, reached out to me, and we talked about her career and the things that she loved doing, and she happened to mention that she really loved recruiting people. And I said, "Whoa, okay, light bulb moment. Is this something you would be interested in doing for us, and maybe opening this new division?" So that has brought a lot of companies to our door that we've never done business with before. Very, very large companies have come to us and said, we want to partner with you and really work with you on finding some life sciences talent. So we've been incredibly blessed. I think we all work hard. I don't feel that anybody's getting something for nothing. The team has been really wonderful again this year. They've fought through the challenges and continue to impress. So we're really, really happy with where we're at right now, and looking forward to future years. I will obviously at some point kind of scale back. Ryan will ultimately
says that now, but
yeah, I do. But as
give him 2.5 weeks and he'll be bored. But hey, I need something to do.
Well, I'm really, my golf game is improving, and you don't get better at golf by A, not playing, and B, not practicing. And so I have a wonderful coach who has got me turned upside down right now, but that's great. I've got grandkids in California, and we've got family in England, so we travel a lot more. And I'll be scaling back probably in 2026, but I'd like to see things kind of more stable and more settled within the industry, and then I can think about doing fewer days. But right now, while it's fun, while we're enjoying ourselves so much, and you say you make a living doing what you do, but you make a life doing it how you do it. And so some of the placements, the backstories are just amazing, and when you literally change somebody's life for the better, we get paid for what we do, but the satisfaction of finding a great candidate, a great home is really something that spurs everybody on, quite honestly. So,
and that's something that all four of us on this call are involved in. Will owning a brokerage, hires people, changes their lives. Matt at HD. And Matt, how rewarding has it been for you to bring people in and show them, hey, this is what you sell. You're only making this much. Come over to us. I mean, you've told me some amazing success stories already.
Yeah, no, it's fun to be a part of and fun to see. I think that's one of the most fulfilling parts of recruiting, and I'm sure you'll always be in it to some degree, Bill. Just to have those stories, even if it's just a couple hours a week. But does that mean Ryan's going to come over to the forwarding side more when you leave, or
Well, Ryan spent some years in global freight forwarding. I think people forget that Ryan did have some years in
6
global
years selling on the forwarding side.
in sales. So it's not alien to him. His baby though was brokerage. That's what he kicked off in. And when you look back at Ryan's career at Coyote, where he worked, sitting next to Paul
Command.
Loeb, Command, sitting next to Paul Loeb, one of the actual godfathers and the creator of the brokerage model, along with Jeff Silver. He wasn't around long before he got really bitten by that bug. But one of the beautiful things was that a lot of those people that Ryan worked with, as other acquisitions have gone on and mergers and so on and so forth, those people went and started their own brokerages or took up senior posts at other brokerages. And so, I'm not saying it was easy for Ryan, but he knew a lot of these movers and shakers out there. They knew him. They had worked with him, drank with him, whatever else with him, partied with him, gone on vacations with him.
Golf or whatever, you name it.
Yeah, you name it. Right? So that was, and Ryan is, my wife and I used to say when Ryan was a kid, at 8-9 years old, you could take this guy and drop him off in Russia without us. And
I'll be good in 2 hours. I'll have a gang of friends.
He's going to know a bunch of people in a very, very short space of time. So, it's global forwarding is not new to Ryan. Ryan knows the crew on the global forwarding side real well. They all love Ryan. So, I'll always have some involvement. It's too much fun and too enriching not to stay involved.
So what do you guys think, maybe just pivoting a little bit here because I know we were saying there's a lot of good candidates out, the job market's improving, there's a lot of good candidates out of work. I know you post about this, a lot, Bill, of, positive or negative things you see. I mean, what are some, maybe mistakes you're seeing candidates make on the W-2 side, or things you think that they should be doing more of, or maybe just kind of talk a little bit about, kind of the candidate side. Obviously, we're dealing with a different generation now. It's kind of entering more and more into the workforce, which is changing some things for the positive or negative. And I'd love to get kind of both your guys' thoughts on some of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, one thing I see, and it's to no fault really of the candidate when you look at the psychology, what they're used to, ego, everything. But people who are on the open market, it's been 3 months, 6 months, whatever. They've got, you've got your bottom line number of what you can afford to live off or whatever. But then you've got your number that you think you're worth, right? Or you're like, hey, I was making this, I should be making that. The value's all created by the market, right? We can all say what we're worth, as an employee, what we're worth, what we should be worth, but the market shows you what the market will afford to pay you. And some people, they don't want to take a step back financial or even, in terms of title on the role, but, is it better to be out for 9 months or jump back in a seat and prove your worth, at a company where, hey, I'm going to come in. I know it's a job someone did 2 or 3 years ago, but they're going to come in, roll their sleeves, work their ass off and show the company, hey, I'm worth that. And I think there is a decent amount of candidates that just aren't willing to do that. Call it ego, call it whatever you want. But I think that's something that, me and my team try to coach people through, is that, hey, I know where you want to be, but that role's not out there right now, or at least we don't have it. And just because we don't have it doesn't mean it does exist or it doesn't exist, but they're not plentiful. So I think people need to be a little bit more fluid, not so rigid with what their expectations are, right? Then you also run into people that are like, hey, I moved here during COVID. I worked for X company. Now I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. I want to stay remote. Well, if you want that director of operations role, they're not giving you that role remote for a company you've never met before.
There's another element there, and that's a great answer, Ryan. But there's another element there to pick up on is, the compensation, as Ryan says, the market dictates the compensation, right? And so let's say, we'll use some easy numbers here, that somebody was making 120 grand a year, so 10 grand a month, right? Make it simple, and they're holding out. They're holding out for that 120 grand a year job. For every month they don't work, that's $10,000 they'll never earn, right? That's lost. And so, people need to understand that. The other thing is that, and Ryan had posted something on LinkedIn about this today, is that if you're not investing in yourself, why would a company be willing, or why would others be willing to invest in you? So if the name of the game is Will Hopkins Incorporated, right? What is Will Hopkins doing to get better at what he does? What is Will Hopkins?
And then we see what Will does is he's posting what he's doing, whether it's work related, not really, but you can see what Will's life is about by following what he's doing. Whether it's writing a book, traveling the world, running 20 miles on a whim, it's like you get an idea of who he is and what he's all about.
Right. So he's investing in himself, right? And we see the same with Matt. Therefore, it's very easy to talk to somebody who's investing in themselves and say, we have a company that would be willing to invest in you. But when you talk to somebody and say, experience is a vastly overrated thing, vastly overrated. So, we can interview, let's say, an air export candidate who tells me he has 10 years experience in air export and he's making 75 grand a year. I don't know, pick a number. And so I ask him, what did you learn in year one? And he tells me all the things he learned in year one. And then I ask him, what did you learn in years 2 through 10 that you didn't know from year one? And they come unstuck because they didn't bother to learn air import, didn't bother to learn anything about ocean. They just carried on doing air export. Maybe they shipped to some different destinations. They might have gotten DG certified, but that's because the company required them to get DG certified and paid for it. But they're not adding to their portfolio. So then now I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy who has to tell this individual, you told me you had 10 years experience and you're making 75 grand, but in reality, you have 1 year's experience repeated 9 times. And 1 year's experience in this business gets you 45 grand. So, people have to invest in themselves. It is a tough market out there, and it's probably going to get tougher. And part of that is, Matt, this from HD Ships. Well, I don't know if this is something you use, but offshoring, right? I look at, one of the largest freight forwarders out there. They publish their first half results, the Q1, Q2. The share price went up $15, right? The same day, went up $15. That's the company that has 17.4% less employees, today. So we're seeing this kind of rush to send American jobs overseas. Now, a lot you can do about it when you're paying, 1/3 of the salary for somebody in Colombia and no benefits than you'd be paying somebody in Chicago or any market in the U.S. We're seeing a lot of companies now opening up shared service centers in Eastern Europe or any parts of Europe and also in India. And again, the cost is significantly lower than for an American employee. So, what is the American employee to do? Well, stop being one-dimensional, right? Be of greater value to your employer today than you were a year ago. When I used to do performance reviews, that was what the first question I'd ask. Are you of greater value today to the company than you were a year ago? If yes, how? And if no, why not? And you'd be shocked at the responses. Most people, they thought they were of greater value because they stuck around for another year or they showed up on time. That's the minimum price of admission is, working 40 hours and showing up on time. That's, that's a given, right?
It keeps your job. Maybe.
What about AI too? I know we're talking about nearshoring too, and I definitely see that. But are you seeing that on like the forwarding and brokerage side too, especially on the operations, on the carrier sales side with all these? I know we're seeing some operations jobs. Ryan, you're saying come back. Are you seeing some of your partners moving to AI to fill some of these operational roles, or is a lot of that maybe overhyped on LinkedIn of how many companies are?
It depends on the type of AI. I mean, if we look at just, if we look at automation as a tool and just keep it in just automating pieces, there's a lot of automation that takes away, a lot of hours that humans will be working on that. And then that's a fact. And the global forwarding company that my dad mentioned, a good buddy of mine is a sales director at Microsoft. He actually has that account. And he said for the last 2 years, I've basically broken even because the number of licenses have gone down, but we're making money on the automation tool. So he goes, you think this company would make me so much money? He goes, I'm breaking even because I'm losing seats, but I'm adding a service back. So at least, he's not losing, but automation is taking place, and that's at a large scale in a multi-billion-dollar company. Yeah.
And what's happening, and you look at quoting now, right? That company is doing quoting on domestic, all through AI, and I think you get your quote in 3 seconds or something ridiculous. So those are jobs that were done by people in the past, and that, those jobs have been replaced. You could look at a lot of the back office stuff, and you could say that those jobs would go overseas, or those things can be replaced by AI. I'm working with a young man in Charlotte, and he's a wonderful, talented individual. Went to a great school, and he's got some years under his 4 or 5 years under his belt in domestic sales, and but he was interested in going into global forwarding, and he literally, and he's not a programmer, he designed a tool on AI that blew my mind and blew the minds of the companies I showed it to. You will go in and you say, I would like to import, and I'm seeing Will's shirt there behind him. I would like to import football jerseys from China, right? And it goes, okay. How many do you want to import? And it's spitting out answers as quick as you can type, right? And then it's telling you what the classification is, what your options are, et cetera, et cetera. Amazing. And that's the concern. We didn't really address the W-2 model, Matt. I actually spoke to an individual right before we did this call. He's more on the global forwarding side, but he's a W-2 guy who is saying, is the companies out there that have got the 1099 model for global forwarding folks.
So agent model for an international freight forwarding rep.
Yeah. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And what I love about that, anybody that's in that program is betting on themselves, right? When you come off that, when you get weaned off the W-2 nipple and go onto, the 1099, you're betting on yourself. And what employer doesn't love an individual who's betting on themselves, right?
100%. It's kind of interesting because you guys I'm glad you brought that up. You guys are kind of unique. A lot of the big logistics recruiting firms do not touch agents on the traditional brokerage side or the forwarding side, but you guys are one of the few that you guys do agents on both sides. I know it's not your primary business, but you do that as well as the W-2. You guys pretty much, with life and services now too, you guys are kind of touch kind of all niches and all areas.
Yeah, well, and if you look at it, there's a place and a home for everybody, right? Some people, W-2 makes sense depending on the longevity of the career, the stability they need, the type of organization they want to be in. And a lot of people will thrive in that role and they'll make a great living. Other people will look at it and eventually spin off like Will, start his own agency and eventually then his own full authority. But, everyone's at different stages of their career, and it's not a one size fits all option for everybody. And that's the beauty of it. There's an option out there for everybody in the industry who wants to go sell. There's a company with a size, a fit, a culture, payment structure that will work for you, but you have to know where to find them, right? And that's the beauty of working with staffing firms and recruiters, working with an internal recruiter like Matt, going directly to Will, who owns a company. It's like there's so many options out there, but you've got to find the right one. Because it's not a one size fits all option out there.
Quite frankly, it's the Logitalent. It's the Logitalent model. I am the sole employee. Everybody else is a 1099, and it's lucrative. It's very, very lucrative, and we modeled it and made it that way. But then you quickly find out, because we've had people who come to us and go, yeah, I'd be interested in coming and working with you guys. How about you give me a X number draw? Like, why? If you want to bet on yourself, then go for it. If you want to draw, then you're not going to get the full boatload of compensation. You're going to go be on a lesser model. So, bet on yourself. Come on in. We'll provide all the vacancies. You don't need to go find vacancies. We'll provide all of them.
And that's not to say the draw model doesn't work. It has. We've had some times where it's worked really well for us, and we've had and where it hasn't worked. But
Yeah.
again, you've got to look at the candidate, what their intentions are. Somebody
Yeah.
wants to draw, 5K a month, 60K a year, but they only want to make 85K. It's not the right recruiter for us, is it?
Right.
And you guys are talking about recruiters here, just to be clear for anyone listening. We're
Sure.
talking about W2.
Just saying how our model is no different than
That's our model. Yeah. That's eat what you kill. It's a great model.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not in the recruiting space, but just thinking about it, I like the concept of it. Because essentially, you're telling them you got to burn the boats. You're either all in or you're out. Kind of the draw splits is like half in, half out. They can retreat basically, but if they don't have that security blanket, you know that you're going to get 100% effort from them, and it might be the catalyst that pushes them to become who they could be, because they don't have any other plan B or C. It's just like, hey, I got to make this work, or I get nothing. So I think a lot of times people need that. If they're might make them nervous, apprehensive, and it might not work out, but to put yourself in that position to bet on yourself, as it's been said on the podcast, is it's a really powerful thing. Even if you fall on your face, you learn a lot from it.
Yeah, in the 10 years, we've never changed our comp model. We've never taken a penny away. Matt, HD ships, tell me about them. Has their model stayed consistent? Because here's the issue that you see with the W-2 employees is that commissions keep getting changed, right?
And it's never for the better, right? They're not like, hey, we're going to increase you from 15 to 20%. They're never going up.
No.
It's like you get in the door, you bring in freight, and that thing slowly keeps chipping away.
Yeah.
At some companies, not all, but we see it a lot.
That is the advantage, kind of like Bill said. We have both a W-2 model, and I don't know a whole lot about our W-2 side of things as I'm on the agent side.
Yeah.
I don't think they've changed that as well, but I know the agent side has stayed the same. I think you bring up a good point there, Bill. I just realized, you guys, I got to grab the cord to my computer. It's going to die on the show, so I'll be back in a second.
Okay.
I will say, so bringing up the point we were talking about where the commissions get cut down, it kind of relates to what we're talking about with the offshoring and the automation. So what we found at Black Box, and it's first time really building out an organization or teams, but with our higher producing reps, we want to build a team around them. And then it gets to a point where it's, like there's only so much money commission. It's like, how do I make this work? And a huge catalyst of growth for us was one, offshoring. So track and trace, after hours, weekends, data entry. So now I say, you're right. I'm paying 20% with 15 people in the Philippines to be able to invest that money that we were spending on US reps to get the most utility I can out of the performers. Right. So that's why we offshore, one, so we can take care of those people, give them the support they need. If I were to do that US base, it just wouldn't work. We wouldn't be able to afford it. It wouldn't be profitable. And then automation.
You look at your commission model and what you're paying out for the ops, and you're like, there's nothing left.
Yeah, and you can only grow it so big too, because with our offshore, we don't pay a percent, right? It's flat rate. But if I have if my in-house, say, dispatch role pays 2.5% of the book, and then I want to add 4 dispatchers, now I'm paying an extra 10%, and it's almost counterproductive to grow this book, and it puts people in a bind, I think. And I don't know exactly the other company's situation, right? But I would imagine a lot of times when they're taking away that commission is because they want to give them support and build it out, and it gets expensive.
Yeah, I wish that everybody had the same integrity as you, Will.
I appreciate you saying that.
But they're doing it with good intention, but I don't think a lot of them are. When you look, if we go back to the Phoenix International days, we had a flat commission from day one, right? And we didn't dilute it. I think that's what drove the business to become the company that it became, and to be able to sell for $635 million. But when I see these commission programs today, it's like you got salespeople spending a day in the office trying to figure out why the commissions are, and then so that they're at odds with their operations management, who are fighting to keep the nickel, and then they're hitting them and saying, hey, the building get paid within 30 days. Well, you know what? I didn't send the invoice out late. I didn't send the invoice out incorrectly. And we've got collections people that should be doing their job and collecting the money. Why am I being penalized? Why is my commission being wiped out? Because we didn't get paid within 30 days. I don't control that. So why would companies do that to their best salespeople? I would like to see the most simple model. 10% from $1, life of the account, end of story. Right? That's it. That's it. Right? Because if you're happy with 90% as the owner, if you're happy with 90% of the profit in year 1, why would you be unhappy with 90% of the profit in year 10? Business, these people hold on to business, and that takes time, effort, and energy and money for these people to hold on to the business. So
is that more common in Chicago area? I hear that more of like at year 3 it changes, year 5 it changes, and most of the time I'm hearing that it's coming from like a brokerage in the Chicago area. So I don't know if that's more of like a Chicago type to these kind of like weirder comp structures, or just because Chicago has more brokerages. But I've heard what you're describing.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit of both. I think we are. I think we kind of still view ourselves as the epicenter of the domestic brokerage business, and this is where brokerage started, right? Loeb and Silver, American backhaulers. Most people, a lot of companies still use that model. The carrier model, carrier customer model. And people know what somebody else has done, and so rather than say, what will be the exception, we won't change our commission program. They're saying, well, this guy changed, that guy changed, the other guy changed, so we'll change as well. You're not going to find better out there, and people are somewhat locked in because of the non-competes. They're still in effect, and big companies will always fight to protect the non-compete element. But yeah, Matt, I didn't really answer your question about the W-2 versus 1099, but I think that could be something that could be interesting down the road. As Ryan said, it fits a certain person. Maybe you're looking at the single guy who doesn't have kids, a single guy or gal. They don't have family on their insurance plan, because that's the other killer. Well, as a business owner, the cost of health insurance for your employees is outrageous.
Not cheap.
It's through the roof.
Yeah.
It's through the roof, right? Another reason why jobs are shifting overseas. Good American jobs are going somewhere else because you're not providing benefits. But most other countries, they don't have those programs because they're, I don't know, socialist, if you will, and healthcare's it's a given right. I mean, you have the National Health Service in Britain. That's what everybody gets, right? It's, nobody pays for that.
Yeah, I'll say so. With our offshoring, another major plus is the HR. So not just having to pay insurance, but managing these people. They have on-site managers that are doing all that. So it's pretty low maintenance for what it is. They develop SOPs, training. They train them for us. They're onboarded with that company for 30 days, going ins and outs before they're given to us. And at that point, again, it's not like in U.S. worker, they're running late. The GM's trying to track them down where they are. If they call out sick, they've got a floater that fills in. So it's so beyond the and yes, we save a lot of money doing that. But it's also the ease of doing business with them it's big for us.
And it's a fixed cost model, right? U.S. employees, it's all over the damn place.
Yeah, so we do with there's a 3 to 5% raise. It's a set amount every year, whatever it is. So it's a set amount. It's fixed. Yeah. It's coming, but they do get a raise yearly.
Yeah. So but you're not wondering what this thing is going to cost you, because everybody in freight forwarding and everybody, there's no standard salary, right? It's all variable.
And they do the recruiting and all. I mean, we don't have to go out and look for them, do the interviews or anything. We just call the guys, send them a text, shoot them an email. Hey, need another track and trace, and he'll send me 4 resumes. I won't even look at them. I trust him. I say, you do the interviews. You know our organization. You pick them out. I mean, it's been a good deal.
You build that trust through the service, right? Once the service speaks for itself, it's like, boom, I need 2 more. They're going to get them, and they're going to be good and do what you guys need and do it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think that's similar to a brokerage maybe working with you guys, having that relationship, and their organization in the roles that they're probably calling you, texting you, hey, like I need this role filled out, and they're I'm sure they're interviewing and whatnot, but I would imagine your judgment carries a lot of weight because they're entrusting you to go through that process and bring them the reps. And with how long, especially Bill, you've been doing this, you have a reputation. They know, hey, if it's got Bill or Ryan's stamp of approval, you should probably onboard them.
Yeah, and we love that. I mean, we'll have certain clients and they'll have a standard or semi-standard interview process, right? But if it's coming from us, an agency, we've got the relationship, we might skip steps ahead in that process. It might be straight to an on-site, like I'm one and done, which is great for them because it saves them time as well, right? They go to a trusted partner. They know the talent's going to be at the level that they're looking for with right culture fit, right attitude, whatever they're looking for. They know, hey, we've done 20, 30 roles of Logitalent. We just need 2 more carrier reps. When? September 8th start. Boom, fill them for us.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah. When we're hiring, that's the biggest thing is just like the time of like recruiting, bringing them in, interviews, or if it's higher level hire. Nobody wants to go through rounds of interviews, like really don't. And then something, hey, a red flag comes up on interview 3. You're just like, well, we just wasted all that time.
Yeah. We haven't really talked about that yet, but like the company side, I'm sure there's some companies you guys, I know Bill's posted about it sometimes, some companies you have to reject for stuff like that. They want to do 8 interview processes or reject 95% or have some, weird quirks too. I'm sure that, especially in this type of market, can't be easy right now either.
No, I don't want to bash HR in general, but there are companies these days that their HR department is the tail that's wagging the damn dog. We can't make opportunistic placements if we have to send the resume to the HR manager or whatever the title is, because they're going to say we don't have a vacancy for that candidate. But the companies where we have relationships with the C-suite, where we can call up an executive and say, hey, it would benefit your company to have this guy or gal take a look at them, and they do. But those that say everything has to go through HR, it's a nightmare. And then they want their own internal TA person to do the interview, and they don't know anything about freight forwarding.
Or truck brokers. They're doing a full screen, an HR screening, but they've never done the role. They don't really know what the role entails, and they're giving him all these almost off a cheat sheet type questions. And someone finished the interview just interview with somebody that has no idea what they're going to hire me for.
Right.
HR bashing is encouraged on the 2 Dogs 1 pod. Bill, I know you said that you didn't want to bash any HR. We're live. We'll bash HR. I'll bash HR. I'm in full support of bashing HR.
I have heard Flexport has the best HR department in freight forwarding.
We weren't going to mention them. We're going to keep this as positive as we can. Hey, look.
We won't mention Flexport. I had to throw that in there. We hadn't brought up. I remember our first episode was right after the Flexport thing.
But my God, so they bought the Convoy technology for $16 million. You knew that, right? When Convoy went under, they bought this technology for $16 million. They've just sold it to DAT for $200 million. So
I guess that's good business then. I mean,
they got to be doing something.
Wow. So they can't. We know they can't make money off freight forwarding because they have no idea how to do that. But history is a predictor of the future. If you've had 12 consecutive years of not making a profit, probably not going to make one next year. But selling software, maybe that's what they should have done all along, was sell software rather than come into the freight forwarding game, which is tough, and which they found out. But I suppose I have to give them a little bit of credit there. When you buy somebody else's software for $16 million and you sell it 2 years later for $250 million, that's outrageous.
Yes, I got to say, in any industry, that's great business. Like them or not, it's good business.
Got to give them some credit. So we won't overly bash HR people. We can agree on that. I think I liked them better when it was the personnel department and they kept track of days off and vacations and benefits.
Donuts on Fridays.
Yeah, Jack Walker gave the seats at the table, and and since then they seem to be one of I'll repeat myself. They seem to want to be the tail that wags the dog, and that should never be.
But again, time kills all deals. Whether it's
100%.
closing a deal to get freight, or especially on the candidate side. I mean, let's say you get a resume tomorrow, you schedule the first interview for Monday, and then it's like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That candidate's fucking gone. They're not waiting around.
Yeah. Well, yeah, collectively as a whole, we've given HR too much power. And I think we should start reeling it back a little bit.
We don't have a technical HR person, even surprisingly, given our size. I think there's a lot of brokerages that probably wait off to hire the HR.
There's a lot of companies, very successful companies, that don't have an HR department. Believe it or not, there are some companies that are very, very successful. They don't have a HR department per se. I think Expeditors is one of them. I'd need to check that, but I think that Expeditors don't have an HR department. They got people that do the stuff that needs to get done, but they're not going to let the tail wag the dog.
We're still holding out strong at Black Box, but it's been brought up, HR hire. So we're still flying without one. Hopefully that continues for as long as we can.
There's some comments here before we wrap up. We should get to RP is the ultimate networker, according to ChatGPT. Ashley commented.
Oh,
thank you, Chat.
We have some other comments here from Valerie, Nick, Vishal.
Nick, that is the best part of the job, helping people. Couldn't work for a better family either. Is Nick with you guys?
Yeah, it's like I down in Atlanta.
Awesome.
Here we go, Nick.
We got Vishal. Many religious and spiritual traditions believe humans were created by a higher power for a purpose to love, to learn, to grow, or to serve. That's deep.
That's very deep.
Yeah. Oh, that's not what I was expecting when I clicked the comment.
I think it was a response to maybe Valerie's comment. Maybe a deep response to Valerie's comment.
Yeah, the world needs more relatable sales operational professionals. Build your brand, humanize yourself. People are craving realness.
And even touching on that, we were on a new client call today that Val landed this week, and the client came to Val through LinkedIn. Val was very intentional back in November. I think I was at like 9,200 followers on LinkedIn. Val was at like 7,000. She's like, all right, I'm going to race you to 10,000. And she didn't win. But last week we looked, and she's at 17,000 and change. Like 15 and a half, but Val's getting so much inbound. Matt and Will, you guys have a big presence on LinkedIn. The power of when you're posting good stuff, it doesn't always have to be business related. I mean, show people who you are as a human. But the client said today, he's like, hey, I wanted to have the call with Valerie and talk about Logitalent because I had an idea of who she was as a person and an idea of how Logitalent recruits just based on her posting. It's literally like build a personal brand, and everyone needs to do that. If you're a salesperson, operations person, the leader, like building the personal brand, and it's out of many of our comfort zones at the beginning, and then it just becomes kind of second nature. But I don't think any one of the four of us, it was like our mission to start building a personal brand on social media when we first got into whatever we do. But then you see how powerful it is and how necessary it is. We've all met through social media, except for Bill, who's my father. But if you look at all of us on this call, we all met through the LinkedIn platform.
Yeah. And I got to be honest. I'm very old, right? And so
you're not that old. He tries to play the old man tease, and he drives further than most of my boys. He plays that in golf league because it's for money when he's allowed to. But no, you're not that old.
Okay, well, so I think some people would consider 71 to be somewhat old. But anyway. Podcasts, right? That's not my thing. And
you had a podcast coach at one point, didn't you? Or like a social media?
Yeah. I had to have a podcast.
Into it in his 60s, and he had a person coaching him through it and like setting things up, and he had a whole setup in the old office. But like again, outside of his comfort zone, but something he's like, I need to adapt. Yeah.
So I went and toured Rim Logistics' new facility a couple of weeks ago. Absolutely mind-blowing new facility.
Best freight facility you've ever seen?
Oh, by far. And they've got a podcast center in their building now. It's a wonderful setup. The best microphones, the best technology, everything. There is a specific podcast room now in their building, and they're going to put out a podcast once a month, I guess. But Yeah. So, you know,
late 90s, it was like put a bar in every office now, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a gym, a podcast center. It's like you got to think about just going with the trends, right?
Yeah. Or in Rim's case, a mezzanine where me and and Bob Mueller could go smoke a cigarette until the fire department came in one day. And
Yeah, back when the old president, the founder of RIM, they had a smoking section indoor. Now it's probably like 300 yards away.
Oh, you got to get in your car and go drive
Across the street.
Drive to a different zip code to go smoke a cigarette. But yeah, no, this has been real fun, guys. I do appreciate you asking us back, and I hope that we'll continue to get asked back, and we'll continue to get better at this. Wish you continued success, Will and Matt. Matt, obviously, big move to Chattanooga. I think you're going to just love the heck out of it. You're a gregarious guy. You're a sociable guy.
He was mentioned to me, for a couple weeks ago, and then at the beginning of the podcast, Will talked about how Matt brings up an idea and does it. Brings up an idea and goes and does it. I mean, and that's the same concept as business, right? It doesn't mean every time you go and jump into something, it's going to work. But if you don't try it, you don't know. You don't know if you don't like it. You don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if it's going to fail. Too many people get caught up in analysis paralysis versus just going for it. Like, worst that happens, you move there, you save some taxes, you travel more, and you end up moving out of there at some point.
Yeah, let's go to Columbia if he doesn't like it.
He'll be there anyway.
Probably going there anyway. Yeah.
Or Miami.
I always see Ryan when he's in Miami, and I'm going to Columbia on the way there, the way back, which is always fun.
Well, it's good. You know what's good? Some people have a bucket list. I'm not allowed. I don't know if we're allowed to swear on this podcast.
I know. I dropped the F-bomb. I was like, can I?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think people should have a fuck it list. Not a bucket list, because the bucket list, people never. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. So if you've got something that you want to do, or if you've got something you want to buy and you can afford it, fuck it, buy it. Fuck it, do it. Right. Don't put it on a damn list, because you don't know if you're going to wake. None of us know we're going to wake up tomorrow, right? None of us do. So, one of my dear friends and colleagues, Tom Priester in New York. Ryan knows him real well. Tom,
one of the best guys I've ever met in the industry, and mentored me a ton when I was young.
And unfortunately, Tom has a terminal illness, and but he just got back from 6 weeks in Europe, because that's what Tom does. And Tom, we've had these discussions. Because he knows that he only has a certain amount of time, but Tom isn't going into that wishing that there was things he did. He did all the things he ever wanted to do. He didn't put anything off, and that's really important. So we've wandered way off Matt moving to Chattanooga, but yeah, F it, do it.
If you want to try it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, try something else. But once you stop trying or going for things, life gets stagnant. Yeah. Business gets stagnant.
And when you got families, when you've got wives and kids and stuff, you can't do those things anymore. Or you can, but it's incredibly difficult to do those things anymore. So while you're single and free, do it.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
And enjoy it.
I'll say I enjoy watching where Ryan ends up too. I know he does probably does more traveling than me, so it's always fun to watch his adventure.
We're thinking he might end up in Chicago. There's a little,
there's got to be some kind of a home in Miami for the winter months, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what he needs to do. He needs to be in Chicago and have a place to go to for 3 or 4 months. And heck, he could go out to California, hang out with his brother and his
been there, done that.
Okay. Yeah.
Already lived there for 10 years. Wrong coast.
Yeah. Ryan is the consummate effort list doer. He wants to do something, he does it. I am not that impulsive, but in my next life I will be a whole lot more impulsive. But I made a big move from England to Chicago. So
we'll get some Mykonos next summer. So
yeah.
Great stuff. Really appreciate you guys. Thank you again for inviting us to be on here. Ryan's going to tell me as soon as I see him to shut the hell up, to talk less. But so I am.
You're not on a podcast, not talk, right?
Exactly.
No, that was great. No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
There's some nuggets of wisdom right there. Fuck it list. Yeah, no, I like that. It was powerful, really. No, yeah, we appreciate having you guys on, and yeah, we'll have to do it again soon. Like what we did this time is spaced out pretty well. We'll make it like an biannual thing. Have you guys on the pod. It was a great episode. Learned a lot about what you guys are seeing, the market, the landscape as a whole. But then past that, kind of segueing off, talking about Matt to Chattanooga, Bill. Again, man, the story, it was powerful. I think it's a good frame for anybody, living their life. Fuck it, do it. Why not? And then Ryan, you're a great example of that, and you live a very cool life. So it was great.
Fuck it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, guys. It was a blast.
Maybe
we should try to get Valerie on sometime soon. Val's always a good one.
Val's good.
100%.
Yeah. And we got some others. We got some others who would be really, really good. So, but anyway,
maybe one of the girls from the international side, like Arlene or Wen, they've got some cool backstories, and they
absolutely. Altea, another super cool story. So, yeah, we got some powerful women at Logitalent. Very, very powerful women at Logitalent.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do a women of Logitalent show.
Ladies of Logitalent show. I like it.
That would be amazing, and they'd be way more. Well, I can't speak for Ryan, but they're a whole lot easier to look at than me. And look, Ryan got his mom's looks. God bless. That's great. He didn't get his.
I got your hair though.
Yeah, okay. But these women the women at Logitalent are absolutely incredible. Me, hey, I always felt that I have a face for radio, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah, we'll need you guys' help in line that up. We'll need you to round them all up for us.
Love it. How many do we want? 2, 3?
Do what?
Get them all.
How many?
Yeah,
2, 3?
Get them all. As many as you can get. The more,
get them all.
We can fit. I think we can fit 10 in StreamYard. So
okay, that'll be fun. Be a little panel.
Yeah, as long as we don't go over 8, we should be good.
Cool.
Let's do it.
Well, awesome, guys. Yeah, we appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. That group message we got. You guys enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Bill, hate that we interrupted your golf, but we'll catch up with you guys soon.
I'll do it for you guys. I'll do it for you guys. We'll enjoy continued success. Matt, safe travels. Right. We'll see you soon.
See you guys.
See you guys soon. Thanks again.
All right.
It was fun.
Yeah, man.
It's always
the show.
Say again?
I was just saying it was a good Tuesday show.
Yeah, no, time flew by. Talking with those guys, always entertaining. Some good nuggets for that. So that was always fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsors again, Wirebee. We have had them on the show. Great for carrier vetting. There's so much fraud out there. Using AI to make sure your calls aren't getting spoofed. Will, you've demoed it, right?
No, I haven't done a demo, but when we met with them, kind of got an idea for the product. It's really cool. I mean, it's basically vetting calls as they come in. So if somebody's been identified as a fraudster, scammer, it's just blocking that call. So if they get through and then take your load, steal it, you're going to lose a ton of money. But beyond that, it'll save you a lot of just manpower and screening those calls. So no, it's a great product for a great call. It's one that we can all get behind. So shout out to Wirebee. And I'm going to take Black Box this time because this is the 3rd week in a row. It's previously mentioned that you forget to mention that Black Box Logistics, one of our sponsors, it's this fantastic 3PL out of Birmingham, Alabama. They just announced that they're onboarded with Cargado. So now they have a cross-border offering from Mexico. But anyway, they were voted as the People's Choice 3PL. Just a great group. Can't say enough good things about those guys.
100%. Shout out to HC Ships, where I recruit agents. Sales Dash, we talked about them a lot pre-show. Josh is in Birmingham right now. We both had the chance to golf with Josh and Drew. Great guys. And yeah, great product. Freight specific CRM. And our banner sponsor, TAFS, top 10 factoring company. Reach out to Ryan or Rob. If you're looking for factoring, they're great company. And yeah, we'll be back later on Thursday this week.
Yeah, we will be back Thursday. Well, all right, Matt. I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon. Don't move anywhere else. Just Chattanooga. Stay in Minnesota until Thursday so we can do the show.
All right, sounds good.
All right, see you.
Yeah.